Step 3, and add some light. The prerequisite for this section is the recipe 1.1, adding some light to your application. I have already downloaded this recipe, and it is here. Alright, so the instruction says you should read all the recipes carefully, and particularly the opening part of this one is really important. But if you want to go quickly ahead, we have done some work for you, and you can now skip all the way to section 4. So this is exactly what I will do. Shaders, calculating light, that's all important stuff that you should read and understand. Calculating the normal, we have this calculation already in this is in the vertex shader. Okay, calculation of the normal is here, and I will send you away to the recipe to understand what's the meaning of this normal calculation really is. And we will arrive to step 4, ambient light. Again, it is very important that you read through this section or watch through the lectures to understand what we are doing. I will not explain too much about it. I will mostly copy and paste now. So, light declaration of the structure for the ambient light has to end up here in the vertex shader. So basic.vert file. Yeah, that's a structure that contains the color and the on value for the ambient light. We also have the function call. This function calls. This is the actually initiating the calculation of the light. We have a special section here for calculating light. So this section is initiated with the setting of the color with 000, that's the pitch black, and each time we calculate some color, we will just add on top of this color value. It shows that undefined variable, actually this is a function, undefined function ambient light. This recipe also provides a ready-to-use function to calculate the ambient light. And with this we should have a complete code for the ambient light only. Ambient light is not very interesting, but it's useful anyway. One thing that we will change, and this change is not explained in either the recipe, and it's also not explained in your Canvas exercise, but I will do it here in this video materials. And we will not switch these lights on and off, so I don't really need this conditional instruction, so I will remove it from here, and I can also remove now the on value from the ambient light definition. So this is a small optimization of the code. Actually, shaders hate if statements, because if statement is not very well, implementation of if statements is not very well optimized in the graphics card, in the GPU. So this code will be simply better. So we have implemented the ambient light in the vertex shader. We don't have to do anything in the fragment shader. And then the recipe provides these 3 lines of code to be set up in the C++ code. But actually the Canvas instruction provides, instead of these 3 lines displayed in the recipe, we propose the following. So I will take rather the code from here, copy, and now where to paste it. This is the initialization of the light. So we are sending the uniform variables over from the C++ code to the shaders. This is the light. The light will not change throughout the scene, throughout the application. If it did, if we had animated light or light that is subject to any changes during the lifetime of the application, we should set up this light in the render function. But if the light is not moved, not changed in any way, we will put it in the C++ code, so main CPP will put it to the init function. In this init function, the only thing is that it has to be done after the initialization of the shaders. I will actually move it a little bit down here, let's say after loading the models, so that we have some kind of a logical flow. It could be done right here, but I think it just looks better if we first load the object and then set up the light. When I run the application, I should now see the ambient light, so it's not pitch black anymore. Okay, that's our ambient light, and I can see even some details. All right, I have a zebra here and grass. All right, and there is a very dimmed, not very well visible compared with this background, but yeah, there is something. Okay, that's the ambient light. Not very interesting, but better than nothing. But now it's time to go back to our recipe and implement, going forward to section 5, implement the diffuse light. So the structure for the diffuse light goes to the vertex shader, and it will be stored here just below the ambient light. Okay, we have the directional light. The second portion of the code here, okay, we have a ready-to-use function for directional light. For anyone doing your level 1 scene, is very important to understand the content of this function. So I very strongly recommend, I couldn't recommend it more, going down here and reading about physics and GLSL implementation step by step. If you don't follow this, then you will have tremendous problem with implementation of the point light. Today we are not installing the point light. This is an outdoor scene, so directional light is absolutely sufficient for us. We have done this, we have done this. We have also this part of the code. Copy. This is the actual function call. Alright, and we will do the same optimization we did with the ambient light. Just remember, it's not explained in the recipe, it's not explained in the exercise in Canvas. The only place when I'm explaining this is here in this pre-recorded video. So we remove this conditional indentation, and we will also remove the on variable from the directional. Okay, so the recipe then follows on to explain that we should initialize this directional light in the C++ code. In fact, our exercise goes one step ahead and provides this initialization code. We will use it in a moment, but before proceeding there, read here, make use of the code provided here, then enhance it to create two sources of directional light, light dir 1 and light dir 2. Okay, how to do it? The code provided by the recipe only has one directional light, and this one directional light is called light dir. We will change it to light dir 1, comma, light dir 2. Okay, that's because to avoid very deep shades, okay, we will produce two different sources of directional light, a trick quite often used in creating scenes, in lighting scenes, that we have not just one directional light, which seems to be logical if you think about we have one sun only, not two, okay, not two stars. But in the gaming world, actually, Tatooine with 2 stars would be a better solution than the Earth with just 1 star. We will have two sources of directional light. And this also means that we have to call this function for light deal 1. There is no such thing like light deal anymore. And we will repeat the directional light call for the second source of the light. So this is how we can create multiple types, multiple instances of the same type of light. And now going back to exercise in Canvas, copy, paste into the C++ code just under wherever we put the ambient light. So this was setup ambient light and material, and now we will put directional light and the diffuse material. Control F5, running the application to see if our light is working, and it is not. Hardly anything changed. We must have ignored some important step. So go back to the exercise, and yes, important, don't forget to initialize the matrix view uniform. We did it, we forgot about this, alright? See bottom of the page 5 in the recipe. This is the setup view matrix code that you need. Your diffuse material is already set up. Okay, what they are talking about is page 4, page 5. In the bottom of the page 5, quite well hidden, we have indeed something that is called setup view matrix code. It is here. Copy. Your diffuse material is already set up, so we don't need this code, just this code. Going back to Visual Studio, it will go to the C++ code first of all, render just here below the setup the view matrix, okay, just below the initialization of the camera. Control V, Control F5 to run the application. Just a moment. Oh, this looks so much better. Full screen mode. Yes, we have a properly lit scene. Okay, it's still quite gray, all right, but this is something we can improve very soon. Looks much better now. So at last we have a programmable pipeline, which actually looks good. Alright, the end of this step. Proceed please to the next step. For now, I thank you very much for watching.